In year 1922 a British archaeologist and Egyptologist Howard Carter together with his crew took part of a world-famous discovery. Howard Carter was employed to Lord Carnarvon, who is eager in excavations and archaeological findings. With continuous interruption of World War I, Lord Carnarvon was dissatisfied and wanted to discover something significant. As a result, Howard Carter was assigned with his crew to dig in the Valley of the Kings, Egypt. In November 1922, a young water boy in the excavation site, accidentally stumbled on a stone that turned out. When the stone dug out, Carter found a doorway stamped with indistinct cartouches. Carter immediately sent a telegram to Carnarvon about his finding. Carnarvon arrived the Valley of the Kings immediately with his daughter to witness the historical event. On 26 November 1922, with the presence of Carnarvon, his daughter, crew members including news reporters and photographers, Carter made a tiny breach in the top left-hand corner of the doorway. Carter, Carnarvon and everybody else were fascinated with the finding of Tutankhamun's burial chamber with the treasure of over 5,000 artifacts made out of gold and ebony. Young King Tutankhamun 1342–1325 BC. During the New Kingdom of Egyptian history, Tutankhamun was the last of his royal family to rule the end of the 18th dynasty. Tutankhamun took the throne at 8 or 9 years of age, succeeding his grandfather-in-law, I. Tutankhamun restored the ancient Egyptian religion after its dissolution by his father. And he moved his father's remains to the Valley of the Kings as well as moving the capital from Akhetaten to Thebes. He was physically disabled with a deformity of his left foot along with bone necrosis that required the use of a cane. Also, he had other health issues including scoliosis and had contracted several strains of malaria. Young King Tutankhamun died in 1325 BC at the age of 18 or 19. There are no surviving records of the circumstances of Tutankhamun's death. It has been the subject of considerable debate and major studies. Murder by a blow to the head was theorized as a result of the 1968 X-ray which showed 2 bone fragments inside the skull. Curse of the Pharaohs. Upon the opening of young king's tomb, involved crew had to face tragic incidents including even deaths. Some report shows by 1924, about 24 of fellow excavators died in numerous reasons. Deaths popularly attributed to Tutankhamun's curse. George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, financed the excavation of King Tut's tomb, was the first to succumb to the supposed curse. Lord Carnarvon accidentally tore open a mosquito bite while shaving and ended up dying of blood poisoning shortly thereafter. He died on 5 April 1923, few months after the opening of tomb. Sir Bruce Ingham, Howard Carter, gifted a paperweight consisted of a mummified hand wearing a bracelet. The bracelet engraved with a text of "Cursed be he who moves my body." Sooner Ingham's house burned to the ground and restoration was interrupted with continuous flood. George J. Gould, was a wealthy American who witnessed tombs open. Sooner fell sick and died of a pneumonia a few months later. Aubrey Herbert, Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, died of sepsis after 5 months of Carnarvon's death. Hugh Evelyn White, an archaeologist, witnessed tombs opening, hung himself in 1924, after seeing tragic deaths of about 24 of fellow excavators. Before his death he wrote a note, "I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear," with his own blood. Aaron Ember, American Egyptologist who died on 1926 when his house burned down. He was a friend of most witness the tomb opening. At the time he was manuscripting a book, The Egyptian Book of the Dead, based on the event. Richard Bethel, was Lord Carnarvon's secretary and the first person behind Carter to enter the tomb, died in 1929 under suspicious circumstances. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, was the radiologist, X-rayed the mummy before given to museum authorities. Died after 3 days. James Henry Breasted, an Egyptologist, who took place in the event. However, returned immediately to home for a different reason. He didn't die until 1935, although his death did occur immediately after a trip to Egypt. A. C. Mace, a member of Carter's excavation team, died in 1928 from arsenic poisoning. Many authors and documentaries have argued that the curse is real in the sense of having scientifically explicable causes such as bacteria or radiation. Tutankhamun's death marked the end of the royal line of the 18th dynasty and he was buried in a tomb that was unusually small considering his status. His fame is primarily the result of his well-preserved tomb and the global exhibitions of his associated artifacts. Full tomb collection of King Tutankhamun is planned to exhibit in Grand Egyptian Museum in first quarter of 2020 after traveled over most of major cities across the world. Subscribe for our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.